Hey everyone, Daniel from Twin Bytes with another tutorial for you, and this time I'm going to be talking about internet security for employees in a business. Now, this can also apply to anyone in a business or home-based business, or just personal use. Cybersecurity is all about trying to find the weakest link to get in. They want the easiest path, or the path of least resistance. So whether it's in a business or a home, all it takes is one employee or one individual to click on a bad link, and then they opened up the door for a hacker to get in. So you might as well then just roll out the red carpet. It doesn't matter if you have Fort Knox and you've got all this great security, everything's locked down from fingerprints, retina scans, and key cards and all kind of craziness. But if you got that one employee that just fell for some scam, clicked on something, you just opened up the door and they could just walk right in. So in this video I'm going to share multiple pointers on how to minimize the risks of getting this type of attack. And so if you're a business owner or manager, you should ask all your employees to watch this video and learn about all these tips and tricks. And if you're just for residential use, you may find this helpful as well. And it's important to share it with all your family members, because just as I said, all it takes is one to have this issue. So it doesn't matter if you're really good about it, but if that one person has this problem, clicks on this link that they fell for a scam, then your entire network could be in jeopardy. Anyway, before we jump in, remember to hit that like button, consider subscribing, joining as a member, and comment below as well. Alright, let's jump in. So the first thing is passwords. That might sound so obvious, and you've already heard this before. Having a strong password, just about any website you go to now, they'll tell you things like it's got to be at least 8 characters long, has to be at least one uppercase, one lowercase, a number, and a symbol. If it doesn't meet at least that for a requirement, then it's too easy to guess the password. It can be brute force attacked, or they can do intelligence reconnaissance on your Facebook profile, things like that. They can guess your password. There's even been cases where people have gone pretending that they're delivering something, and they look around on the desks of employees, and they could see one employee had a lot of Elvis stuff. So they were a total Elvis Presley fan, and so they saw their name with their business card on the desk, so they got their name, they got their email address, they know they're an Elvis fan, so they tried all kinds of different passwords that were related to Elvis. And it didn't take too long and they were able to guess the password and log in. So that's one of the things, is making sure that you don't just use something like that. So if you were to say Elvis is your password, well, that's ELVIS, that's 5 characters, we're 3 short. Well, you might say Elvis 123 or something. Well, there's a uppercase, lowercase, there's a number, we're missing a symbol, so maybe we'll put the E as a number 3 for E, and we could replace a couple of things there like that. But that's too obvious, because I'm already guessing right now that if you were to use that, then you'll say, well, I want to keep it as simple as possible. The shorter the password, the easier it is to remember. So that's going to be too easy to guess. So even if you meet those minimum requirements, it still doesn't mean that it's a great password. So 8 character long passwords are typically too easy to be hacked. I'll throw this up on the screen here right now that I did in a previous video as well, and it shows how long it could take to attack passwords that are a certain number of characters long, and depending on if they have uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and symbols. The other thing is making sure that the password is unique. Too many people want to use the same password for everything. They might even say, well, all my social media accounts have one password, all my financial accounts have different passwords, but then I've got entertainment-based stuff that will have another set of passwords. So you're still trying to use the same password for more than one site, even though you might be categorizing them between financial, social media, and entertainment-based things. It's a good idea to also change your passwords on somewhat of a regular basis. Many companies will have a policy already in place that forces the employees to change their passwords every 3 months. But that's only the password to the domain controller, like your network when you sign into the computer. There's not much in controlling how often to change passwords for all the other websites that you log into and all those different online tools. And everything's online now. There'll be certain things like Google, they're very good for security, and they have something in place that it'll send you a reminder after a certain period of time saying, hey, you haven't updated your password in this long, so we're going to force you to change it now. Also, what's become really important, and almost everyone has this now, is two-factor authentication, or two-step authentication, or 2FA. They have different names for it.
I am the devil, Satan, Lucifer, Beelzebub, the Prince of Darkness. Well, the Princess of Darkness, anyway. Here's my card.
And really, if you haven't even heard of that before, it's really just a matter of either using your cell phone to get a text message every time you sign into some website. If somebody guessed your password, they would also have to have access to your mobile phone to get that text message code, which you would then re-enter. You could also use an app on your phone that will generate a new password every single time you log in. So aside from passwords, there's also updates. So whether you're using a Mac or a Windows computer, you're going to have updates for the operating system. And there's also updates for the various applications that you use. And although they should be automated for the most part for the operating system and for web browsers and things like that, they may pop up and say, like I've seen Google Chrome, Firefox, it'll say there's an update waiting to be done. But it doesn't always do it right away. There are programs you can install, and I'm not going to get into everything in too much detail here in this video because we'd be here forever, but I do have other videos in my security playlist that you can check out that show you specifically how to use two-factor authentication and all these different things that I'm talking about here. While searching online for anything, I've seen too many people fall for this where they're doing a Google search, say, okay, well, we have a HP printer scanner, we're having problems. The boss says, go ahead and contact HP support, we got to get the guy in there. So instead of going through trying to find the business card you had or wherever the number might be stored, you do a Google search for HP technical support. The first number that comes up on your screen, you call that, but if you had to look close enough, it's not going to hp.com, it's going to some other scammer's website. You call them, they say, okay, well, we can remote into your computer and do it from there. Now you just let the hacker into your computer, which once they get in there, they have access to the whole network fairly easily. So you want to be careful when you're doing searches online, and I've got other videos on that as well, I believe, that will show you when you're looking at a website, make sure the web browser actually highlights part of the domain name. So if you're going to Microsoft.com, it highlights the Microsoft.com part. If it's something like ontario.gov.ca, then it makes sure that it highlights the last two parts of the domain name. So I'll have on the screen here too, so you can see that if it's whatever .com or .ca, it'll have that plus the one part of the domain before that. There could be multiple parts to it, which means multiple dots, but it's that last little bit that identifies. You might have, in this example, hp.com.technicalgurus.com. So you might be looking at the first bit and it says hp.com, but it's not a slash that comes after that, it's a dot. So that's not hp.com, it's hp.com.technicalgurus.com. So that's really technicalgurus.com website that have subdomains they've added called com and before that HP. So it's understanding how to read this to make sure that you're going to the right website. They trick people too many times by doing this, as well as just common spelling mistakes that they've done on purpose. If it's HP, there's not a lot of characters to make a mistake with. But if you're trying to go to Microsoft and they put an extra S in there, or something that they'll have one letter missing or extra, and you might not notice it because we're all in a hurry all the time and we just skim through that. So you want to be careful, read it properly, and make sure that you're going to the website that you expect to be going to. A lot of scams will come in the form of emails, and the timing couldn't be more perfect sometimes. I've had so many examples just for myself alone. It could be from UPS, Purelator, FedEx, any shipping company that says that we're having trouble delivering your package, and to click here and view your tracking number. And it would be the company that I am expecting it from as well, and I would think that, okay, I am expecting something from FedEx, but when I look a little bit closer and see the address that it came from, it's not from FedEx.com, it's from some odd looking email address, or the link that it's asking me to go to, if I hover the mouse over it, then it tells me where's it really going to go. It's not actually going to FedEx.com, it's going somewhere else. So you want to be careful about that. And if it's not obvious that it's the correct one and having your tracking number that you already know about, then just delete that email, go to the shipping company's website directly, whether it's FedEx or whatever, and just go on there, type in your tracking number and search that way. But don't just blindly click on things too quickly. If you get a link and you're not sure about it, if it's clean or where it's really going, if it's going to redirect you somewhere, you can copy that link and go to a website like this one here where you can check where it's going to, and it'll tell you if it's redirecting it or not. And there's also this other website where you can scan the website and see if it's clean of any viruses and that. One of the other tricks in the email is that they'll send you a document that apparently you need to read, and they'll maybe even make it sound scary that it's urgent for one reason or another. Whatever it is, they're saying, we want you to fill out this form, click here to access the Google Docs. Well, they will send you to your Google account where you'll have to sign in, but they're redirecting it to pass through their server first before it goes to Google. So then when you sign in to view that document, which may or may not have an actual document there waiting for you, it will monitor your keystrokes and send it back to the hacker. So then when you sign into your Google account, they now have access to your Google account. So whatever account that is, it could be Dropbox, OneDrive, Google, whatever it is, it's going to track that and send it back to them. So you got to be careful who's sending you these emails asking you to sign into your account, because then they'll have access. Tech support scam calls are kind of a thing of the past now. They don't call you anymore. They trick you into calling them. But it still happens a little bit, so if you happen to get a phone call from somebody that says they're from Microsoft or whatever, saying that they notice that you're having a problem on your computer and that they can help you to fix it, they just need to remote in. Don't trust them. There's no way anybody would know that you're having an issue unless it's an IT company that you're already paying to monitor alerts and things, and they would call you and you would already know who they are, and then they could remote in if necessary. But for the most part, when we're doing managed IT services, we can fix things behind the scenes, so we wouldn't need to request access to remote into your computer. So be careful if you get some phone call from a strange number and you don't recognize who it is and they're asking to get access to your computer. Bringing in external devices from home to the business, you got to be careful. Now, this is something that it's not so much for the employee, but this is for the manager or business owner to be aware of, that employees have cell phones, and the cell phone connects to every wireless hotspot, including at home. And if they're bringing their personal laptops too, that's something else. They could be downloading all kinds of stuff, pirating software. Who knows what they're doing on those devices and what networks they've connected to. They could have already downloaded a virus, have a hacker in there, and then they bring that to work, connect it to the Wi-Fi at work, and now they've just brought the hacker into the business, and they can then traverse the network from there and gain access to the entire company. One thing that the business can actually do is set up a second separate public Wi-Fi connection. So for the corporate computers, they have the corporate Wi-Fi. But for any personal users in bringing in your cell phones or visitors, they can connect to the public Wi-Fi. So that way, on their phones, they can still have internet. If they need to use something on their personal laptops, they'll still get internet, but they're on a separate network, and they're not going to be able to infect your business with some hacker virus that they got from somewhere else. So these were just a few tips and tricks for the end user, whether you're the manager, the boss, or an employee. It's what you're doing on your computer and being careful what you're clicking in that so you don't invite a hacker in. For a complete security solution, there's so much more to consider, and that's not for the employee to do, that's for the business owner to look at, have a security evaluation done, maybe put a better router firewall in place and things like that. So hopefully now you understand the importance of the end user or employees being educated on how to be safe online and not invite a hacker in, because it doesn't matter if you've got Fort Knox and somebody comes knocking on your door, you open up the door, maybe the window, and peek through it and say who's there. If they're convincing enough,
but you look like someone who could really use some rubber nipples,
then that employee can open up the door and say, oh, okay, come on in. And you just literally invited the hacker into your home or business network. So that's it for this tech tutorial, and I hope you did find it helpful. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. Even better, give it a super thanks, and thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.